Hello there everyone and welcome back. You enjoyed the Mechanicus and you want to see some Imperial Navy, so we're going to dive on back into at least what I dub my version of the 6 cruiser fleet. I like this a little bit better since it has a little bit more diversity, a little versatility in the extended range, and never mind the usefulness that the Dictator can have. Although the frigates are incredibly fragile as they're only the destroyers, as distinguished over on the left here, and the Firestorms, everything with 400 health, are considered an actual frigate, at least from what I could tell judging by the game here. Although worst case, if I feel that the Cobras are a liability, I can always potentially downgrade to allow for a couple of Falchions, since their torpedoes could do some damage if I'm smart about how likely they're going to get shot down. Never mind, those torpedoes can be pretty useful, especially melted torpedoes against frigates. They burn your scanner pulse, then there's a very good possibility of doing 180 points of fire damage to them. And that gives us enough points for a third frigate. Sadly only a Cobra, but it gives us more vision, more durability if I feel a tweak is required. But I would love to keep at least one Overlord, since at the very least it helps increase, or at least makes it faster to grab objectives for me. Never mind if it's the one in front taking hits, it's a little less likely to get screwed over by random critical hits on the generator or engines maybe. Either way, I'm going to have some fun with this fleet and see if we can give you quite the spectacle of torpedoes and ramming. Alright, so I failed to catch the introduction there since I wasn't looking at the time when I finally got my cue, but we are face off against Drukhari. Not an opponent I recognize though, or Agent IQ, actually it may be someone familiar. Either way, we got our work cut out for us, I suppose. And I gotta remember not to try and use melted torpedoes to thinking they'll do a lot of damage, since dumbfire torpedoes probably are better with the brief window I'll have doing damage to them for when I run them down. And this is where my frigates are most likely to be a liability too. With that said though, do I want to try and get the extend sensors, since that does mark them if my frigates are ever close enough. But Mission Dissipator is so much nicer to make sure my frigates are in position able to protect themselves too. We will see how this goes though, and actually I better position myself better since we do have an objective right here. Normally what they like to go with is the Impaler fleet, and thankfully we have a Dictator to help a lot with dealing with that. And I think I'll have the 2 Overlords on the left there, at least to provide a little bit of critical hit protection. Now, let's see about making this work, and actually let's hold fire with these 2 since them being invisible is probably better for me. Beacon, Stasis Bomb would be nice, but it's really difficult to hit them with that. And Emperor's Turret. And you just follow our ships. Although let me prioritize components before they vanish.
We serve.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Now,
Impossible, Admiral.
where do I want to fire the beacon? Or really anywhere. Let's fire on the left because I'm planning on going right through. Dang it. I thought I gave you a movement order. Ideally, we want to grab these objectives aggressively and quickly. And I do have fighters as well, but I'm uncertain for dealing with Impalers. And I want this frigate probably a little bit better positioned too.
Engaging engines.
Just in case.
You have seized a strategic
So that's kind of a frigate over there, for the most part.
We serve.
This will protect me while I grab this one point on the right. Ideally.
Ship ready. Fury interceptors in flight.
Okay. So we know where they're at. We heard a mass movement there.
Setting course.
And I have a mission dissipator,
We
so
wait your command.
is it possible we can reveal something as a
Understood.
bonus?
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Because we have fighters there as a protection.
Your orders?
We're moving here. We have the beacon for
Coordinates
area denial,
acknowledged.
so very unlikely we'll catch something.
Underway.
So the tell I got there's they turn completely around.
Burn retros. Setting course.
And I want to grab this objective
We wait your
ideally.
command.
And
Heading
then we'll play
acknowledged.
from there and listen for audio cues.
Aye, Admiral. Underway.
And let's recall the dictator
ready.
fighters so that way I can launch them again.
We serve.
And I'm going to
Understood.
scanner pulse over here as a little bit of insurance, but they probably backed off quite a
Changing
bit.
course.
I'm going to guess at least.
Enemy sighted.
You have seized a strategic area.
Near of which are the flagship, so that's a bit of a
Burn
pain.
retros.
I would love to mark the flagship.
Understood. Fury interceptors in flight. Course engaged.
So minimize the damage ideally. We're still going to take hits, but it will be greatly minimized if I position this properly.
Setting course.
And I didn't check if... Okay, they do pause my ships.
We serve. Course engaged.
Beacon will be up in 9 seconds.
Target locked in.
I probably should have used Emperor's Taro. Now I'm misremembering how to pronounce that cursed thing. Ability. Emperor's Tarot.
Engaging engines.
This is a bad time to try and remember, let's be honest, but
Your orders.
either way, 20 seconds, 30 seconds for another scanner pulse. We got some really good starting damage,
Aye, Admiral.
and we're going to have 3 objectives in a moment to at least be competitive
Understood.
on the objective game,
Your
while we
orders?
position ourselves a bit better.
We wait your command.
And I'm assuming they're being individually
Burn
controlled at this
retros.
point, so
Ship
we'll
ready.
scanner pulse. Yep, they're all
Course
backing off.
engaged.
So what I'm going to do is grab this point and grab the 4th one on the
You have
right.
seized a strategic area.
Your
And
orders?
maybe you'll go back and if I'm so lucky, you can hunt down one of the frigates.
Fury interceptors in flight.
And ideally, let's not ram our frigate. These are really damn important.
Aye, Admiral.
But since I have the beacon for a little bit of protection, I can maybe grab this
We
point.
wait your
Actually,
command.
the truth of the matter is I don't need all of them.
We serve. Underway.
Grab the points.
Aye, Admiral.
See about grabbing... The faster we do this, the better, though.
We wait your
Because
command.
there's the boosting now.
Coordinates acknowledged.
And that's only a frigate. That's going to be slow to do. And if I'm so
Your
lucky, maybe I can hit them as well.
Changing course.
Alright, do a scanner pulse for safety's
Ship ready.
sake.
Burn retros.
Engaging engines.
Okay, we found the flagship, which is convenient.
We serve.
I would like to destroy just the generator,
Setting
honestly.
course.
Aye, Admiral. Heading
Although,
acknowledged.
this is bad placement of my ships.
We wait your command.
But, they're taking
Enemy
hits.
sighted.
I might get some good critical hits here if I'm so lucky. Recall the fighters.
We serve.
And just do what
Ship
damage we
ready.
can. We know where their flagship is, which is helpful.
Your orders?
You have seized a
Maybe not as
strategic
much as it
area.
could be, since it's not really fighting us, but still helpful.
Setting course. We serve. Setting
Now, what I
course.
want to do is reveal
You
the
have
frigate.
accumulated 25%
Actually, I don't
of
need to.
strategic points.
All ahead, full.
So what I'm going to do instead is have a little surprise for them.
Underway.
If they don't see this and they burnt their scanner pulse, you're dead. You're,
Ship ready.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
okay, you're seizing the point, your scanner pulse, so
Understood.
little good it does you.
Fury interceptors in flight.
We wait your command.
Frigate is going to burn to death at this point.
Course engaged.
So we just need
Your
to
orders?
maximize our damage.
Heading acknowledged.
In all honesty, let's hunt this thing down. Although it is going to
We
repair.
serve.
Changing course. Aye, Admiral. Engaging engines. Ship ready.
Sadly, they had to destroy torpedoes, but
Engaging engines.
I will minimize damage. I will be immobilized, though.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Impossible. Your orders? Coordinates acknowledged.
We're getting hits in. Can we get killing blows, though?
Burn.
That is most important. Because he's just doing the ridiculous thing, which is keep himself immobile.
Underway. Reporting successful bombing action. Ready.
Yeah, my ships are immobilized. I'm losing control of my fleet, but
We wait your command. Underway.
that's one ship down. Let's try and kill the rest off, because I am, again, losing focus.
We wait your
And we
command.
can win this fight if I can get the rest of my fleet in.
Setting course. We serve. Disengage. Disengage.
So my flagship's still here, but
Changing course.
let's see. Combustion gauge is all burnt.
Ready. Understood.
You have seized a strategic area.
Aye, Admiral.
And I have torpedoes coming up.
Acknowledged.
Combustion gauge is good. We can win this fight. I'm just doing a bad job controlling it right now.
Burn retros. Coordinates acknowledged.
Now,
Aye, Admiral.
let's get everything going.
Acknowledged.
I have my flagship about to spot.
All is lost.
I have... Rally is not up, alas, but we are shooting the light cruiser right now.
Changing engines.
Yeah, again, I'm controlling this very badly,
It's gone, sir.
but that was a bad shot as well. But you are going to take a lot of macro cannon damage,
Underway.
and we have 4 objectives, keep in mind too. And you're about to get rallied, which may not mean much, but it helps.
Full. Understood.
And that doesn't do a lot of damage, but they are heavily crippled, and we still have over half our fleet.
Damage.
Again,
Changing course.
I controlled this terribly because these frigates alone can kill the light cruiser. It was very promising at first, but I'm not happy with that match.
Crippled the enemy.
Because what realistically I should do is have 2 cruisers go after each battleship. Sure, the torpedoes would have been awkward, but then he would have to do more micromanaging than me if I controlled it right, since his only weapons are on the prow. So if he dodges me, he has to take a full salvo of macro cannons and possibly boarding. And if he doesn't, if he commits to doing damage, then I'm just launching torpedoes at point blank range with ramming spurs. And if he flies away, well, then again he has to micromanage more than me because I'm chasing him and he needs to keep his ships moving away from me. And arguably they're doing no damage at that point, without great risk if he wants to turn around. Alright, we're facing our Agent IQ fella again, and they decide to go with Slaanesh. So they're gonna try and torture me with their, what is it, Slaanesh's promise, and nuke me down, I suppose. Possibly. So hopefully, if my control's on point, I can murder this fleet relatively well. Depending on what it is. I'm just wondering, with Slaanesh, I'm wondering if he's actually a close-range slaughter-based fleet, or that's just more of a protection ability with an Necron. That's the only thing I'm uncertain about there. Either way, what I probably want to do because of Slaanesh's prompts is to try and go in, like, not all at once with my ships. Sure, it makes them get focus fired a bit more, assuming he's running from me. But then they're not all liable to lose their shields immediately, which honestly isn't much of a problem, since my shields are probably going to die really quickly regardless at that kind of range. Although I am going to have a really hard time here with a stasis bomb. So how the hell do I get value out of my skills with that said? Is what I'm curious about. Hopefully, we can get ourselves a good time. We have the summary execution to get my combustion gauge built up, at the very least. Now, I'm just wondering where to put my frigates, because we got a very straightforward path, which almost will lead to our opponent there, their fleet at least. So, anything else? No, I don't want a mission dissipator at this point. I'm wondering if they're going to be close range or not, in which case armor piercing could be useful here. I get the feeling it's a close range fleet, maybe slaughter, but we'll go with a little more all-rounded. 6 cruisers without a doubt. And let's see, let me time the speed. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. It's really close there to 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
We serve.
Hard to say. I almost want to lean towards slaughters,
Fury interceptors in flight.
Ship
which is
ready.
fine by me. I have stasis bombs
The
to
enemy
at least
has
keep them
seized
at
a
bay.
strategic area.
And
Setting course.
let's fire some double
Aye,
torpedoes.
Admiral.
So meltas and regular. Although it helps if
Aye,
I
Admiral.
fire my
You
Why are
have
my
seized
torpedoes
a
not firing?
strategic
Okay.
area.
I got thrown off a little bit there. I was hitting the wrong keys, clearly.
We wait your command.
Course engaged.
And they're not boosting, so that tells me they're not using the mission dissipator.
Heading acknowledged.
And we'll reveal them in a moment. And hell, the fighters will serve as a bit of point defense deterrent.
Enemy sighted.
Alright, I had to double check to be certain, so they are slaughters.
Changing course.
And we got some light hits. Not much, but any damage with torpedoes that I'm probably not going to get to
Your
use
orders?
fully.
The enemy has
is
seized
always a
strategic
plus.
area.
Engaging target.
Now let's do this again with other torpedoes.
Setting course. Burn retros.
Understood.
We wait your command. Maximum
So they
burn.
probably are going to dodge that, but it might scare them. Because they turned their arc nicely for me.
Targeting enemy vessel.
Now let's kill their shields. Yeah, burnt the repairs, but that's kind of a good thing if I can get a critical hit of some kind of stick. So that really benefits me.
Burn retros. Engaging engines. Understood.
Gotta be careful torpedoes,
Acknowledged.
because this might hurt a bit. This is gonna hurt a lot. Ooh.
Sighted.
Setting course.
Escort vessel lost.
Now, if I can force a mutiny there that burns... I want to force a mutiny with the Culexus Assassin here. But I don't think I'm close enough with the flagship.
Ready.
Engaging engines.
Assault crews report success.
Now, let's enjoy our potentially easy victory. But keep in mind Slaanesh's promise.
Changing course.
And you have arm piercing, right? Yep.
Sir. All ahead full. Aye, Admiral. Boarding team.
I burnt up all my combustion gauge, sadly, but we are in good shape. I just, with lack of armor piercing, I could be in trouble still.
Heading acknowledged.
But these torpedoes were hurt.
We wait your command. Setting course.
Aye, Admiral. Changing course.
Sir.
Course engaged. Maximum burn.
Alright.
Our boarders have caused external damage.
Now I'm watching. Oh no, we won. Quick, brutal, and efficient. Especially early on when I got melted torpedoes on their entire fleet there. It may not be any damage because they repaired it, but since I was hitting them with my broadside weaponry, if I had gotten deck critical hits like what happened there, that could screw them up so much. As we kind of see with the Culexus Assassin, since I don't think they had a rally to negate that. I could be wrong there, and apparently, winning that match, I could be wrong here, made me lose legendary ranking. I wonder what happened there. Okay, so we're up against that Quantum fella yet again. At least this time it will not be a mirror match, but I am going to have to be very mindful of drawn out attrition damage. The main benefit I have is 6 cruisers over their potential 5, but with Disruption Overcharge, they will consistently and steadily bring me down, unless I'm somehow able to get in close, which, of course, with Torpedoes and Raymond Spurs I kind of want to do. But I could still, at least for a good while, fight them head to head at range, so long as I'm doing good about dodging the macro cannons. Or not the macro cannons, but the Nova cannons. Since we've seen the torpedoes, oh god. Alright, so where was I? I want Overlords in front to kind of absorb the critical hit potential. And I was talking about something about the torpedoes. They can do some decent damage at range too. I just don't want to carelessly waste too many charges if I can help it. Since I am going to need them when things start to draw out, especially as I start losing ships. I may be put in a very inconvenient position where, let's see, my ships may not have enough charges of the torpedoes I want because I've been using them too much. So I do need to watch that, and actually let me switch this around just for convenience sake. Disruption bomb there, plasma bomb there. We'll see how this works.
Heading
And
acknowledged.
okay, well that's not Romulan tactics then. I do wonder if I want to just destroy a deck, because I do have Culexus Assassin, and once I am in close, they're going to have a difficult time running away from me, really. Now, when do I start lobbing torpedoes at them? Since it's too likely for the torpedoes to be dodged if I shoot them now. So I'm thinking when they're getting really close to this objective. So how long will that be? Because if I fire my torpedoes now, they'll be almost at the objective.
Burn retros.
So let's see about doing this. Although I gotta be mindful of my heading.
We wait your command.
Because
You have
torpedoes
seized a
are not all that
strategic
convenient.
Understood.
Now this is what scares me most. Torpedoes hitting my own
Ship
ship.
ready.
But if these are meltas, that's not a problem.
We serve.
Because I was willing to emergency
course.
repair to deny that.
We
And then it
serve.
would easily... Okay, with that said,
Coordinates acknowledged.
let's pretend this did not happen. Just between you and me.
Underway.
We did not almost kill our own frigate. Alright?
The enemy has seized a
This
strategic
never
area.
happened. Although maybe I should have fired those
Admiral.
torpedoes sooner. I didn't account for the fact that, of course, they're
Course
battleships.
engaged.
And I spent way too much time trying to change my heading anyway. So that's a bit of a dud, but it might looks like
Wait your command.
these two on the right are going to be really solid hits if they keep their side to me. Okay, one Melta. 4 torpedoes on there, one of which I think is Melta.
Setting
So I
course.
want to say that was a successful torpedo salvo.
Enemy sighted. Your orders?
Now just get this out of the way. Mitigate the shield damage.
Setting course.
And prepare for later,
sir.
because oh, this is a Nova. So we gotta be ready to dodge this.
Underway.
This is
Changing
like
course.
a movie, although I should have aimed those torpedoes a little bit better.
Ship ready.
Just hard break to have them fly right past me. Now, if only the torpedoes had connected, that would have been the best case situation. Although,
Aye, Admiral.
that it's very unlikely to hit regardless. But let's try with something that's even harder to hit then, with that said.
Aye, Admiral.
And you almost burnt all your combustion gauge, right? And that was bad shot. I might as well try to make use of them, because it's going to be hard to get frigate
Coordinates
value
acknowledged.
with the, especially with torpedoes. Just how easily their torpedoes can get shot down when they're by themselves. But you're dead.
Course engaged.
Simple as can be. Although
Ship ready.
we still need to hunt down the R1 and kill it,
Understood.
and we know it's not far away. I just gotta
Heading
watch
acknowledged.
for potential Nova cannons. And this
The
is a
enemy
terrible
has
arc
seized
for
a
me,
strategic area.
so we're gonna improvise. Nova cannons are up here, right?
Your orders.
Or Novalord. Oh, Overlords rather. And Overlord, you go here. We'll swap around our formation a bit.
We serve.
And we know the frigate ran off.
We serve.
Try and get some semblance of a formation back together.
Aye, Admiral.
Because we have very limited time before they start firing Nova
Setting
cannons on
course.
us.
Your orders.
Although this is a terrible arc, and I'm already revealed,
Heading
so
acknowledged.
why not speed this up a bit?
Ship ready. Aye, Admiral.
Because we're going to get seen
We
pretty
serve.
soon. We're going to get shot at really soon.
Burn retros. Coordinates acknowledged.
And now we got to figure out,
We wait your command.
again, which one fired Meltas. Not that it really matters, I guess.
We wait your command. Engaging engines.
And they'll likely repair this pretty easily.
Aye, Admiral.
Underway.
But if it prompts something when we're about to get in firing range,
Aye,
that's pretty
Admiral.
good.
Understood.
And we have equal points. I just killed a
We
frigate,
serve.
though, so that helps me some.
Enemy sighted.
And needless to say, that's some
Your
good
orders?
damage on that one cruiser, but they immediately repaired, didn't they?
Course engaged. Ship ready.
2 fire
Changing
assaults on the
course.
battleship. That's pretty good. Now we need to actually hit
Your
them.
orders.
Coordinates acknowledged.
They're not firing Nova cannons at least, so we have that going for us, but
Course engaged. We wait your command.
and let's keep in mind we have fighters as well.
Understood.
Let's give them some breathing room while everyone sets their
Engaging
heading,
Engines.
because we're about to
Your
we're about to
orders?
get some Nova cannons. I'm pretty certain. This is the last torpedo until close range engagement. Which we're conveniently gonna get.
Heading acknowledged. Ship ready.
Now, prow ramming is not gonna be all that effective, but
Engaging engines.
it is something we have going in our advantage. And actually, I spammed that when I probably shouldn't have. Because I should have tried for the Kulexus Assassin like I did before.
Setting course.
Dang it, I saw I burnt retros with you.
Coordinates acknowledged.
And I don't know if Lane C is being a pain here or not. I feel like I should be doing more torpedo damage.
Changing course.
There, that's more satisfying.
We can't take much more. Course engaged.
Starhawks loaded and set.
Now get everything turned around. You just deal with our cruiser friend, although that was a bad torpedo shot. Good enough, I guess, considering.
Understood. Burn retros.
Alright. Maybe not as effective as we would have liked on torpedoes and ramming, but a nice soft victory.
Your orders?
Just ram it into oblivion. Since it was, what, 4 ships versus my 6. And even from the beginning, it was going incredibly well for us since my opponent kind of had their side turned to us. A lot of the reason why you need to flatten the prow, or at least flatten the ship's arc a bit. Kind of how we did against the Drukhari, cause sure, Drukhari had, was it, the splinter torpedoes to keep me from moving, at least at the beginning there, but when they can't follow it up, it means absolutely nothing. So I took almost no damage regardless. Okay, so I recognize this Necron opponent from yesterday. This could be a rough one for him, but at least if they have enough, star pulse generators, they can mitigate my torpedoes decently well. Never mind the fact that Necron are immune to fire results, so half my torpedoes are arguably just useless here. And I say arguably because I'm going to try to bait out star pulse generator pulses with said melted torpedoes, without really diminishing my supply of my proper torpedoes. We'll see how this goes in comparison to when I had to hold back with my Mechanicus fleet. Although, in all honesty, with how close range I probably want to be, I don't think I want to pull any punches, because a really good Scarab Swarm from them is going to wreck my fleet if I don't start killing ships off quickly. And I have the armor-piercing ammo. I did have an AFK opponent in my last match, so sadly, we're not going to see that. And actually, I want this plasma bomb, dang it. Disruption bomb might not be handy, but supercharge might to a limited extent. A limited extent. I'm trying to think. 20 seconds pause. Pausing the regeneration is not terrible if they have the stance up. I'm just trying to think how much damage is that potentially, or negated health. So it's only like 60 health. It's not really impressive, at least compared to a plasma bomb. But it's still arguably damage, which I kind of want against Necrons.
Changing course.
And this is, okay, this is the same starter fleet too, so they
The
might be
enemy
in
has
for a rough
seized a
time, but they
strategic
do
area.
have the arc propagator this time. They just don't have an optimized fleet for it. And because they have the residual absorption,
Ship ready.
disruption bomb's gonna be really good here.
Underway.
At least it's notable damage, or at least denied regeneration. Now,
Heading acknowledged.
we're gonna test our opponent.
Aye, Admiral.
Although they're likely just gonna jump by the time the torpedoes get there, really.
Aye, Admiral.
So maybe it's not as
Course engaged.
a clever a test as I'm thinking it is. They do have the
You
reload
have
stance,
seized
but
a
what I want to
strategic
pay
area.
attention to is if they regenerate their health. And I think we're going to fight on this one
Understood.
objective here. If I'm lucky enough. Actually, I do want to spread out a tiny bit because of their Scarab Swarm again, too. Alright, so that worked out well.
Aye, Admiral.
They are going to be able to jump soon, so
Ship ready.
let's be mindful of that.
Your orders?
Be very mindful, and let's see, these are Secoms, aren't they? Yeah, so they have Star Pulses.
Your orders?
And I'm trying to remember the cooldown on the Star Pulse with that said.
Aye, Admiral. Coordinates acknowledged.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
We serve.
The enemy has
If I could
seized a
destroy the deck, that
strategic
helps a lot,
area.
but these are not the big threat. They only have prow weaponry after all, for that Star Pulse generator.
Aye, Admiral. Setting course.
As far as I'm concerned, that's free damage. To an extent.
Engaging engines. We wait your command. Enemy sighted.
I'm not seeing yet, but I know what's
Ship
going on.
ready.
So we'll
Understood.
just bully them out of these 3 points on the left.
Aye, Admiral.
I sadly don't have the firepower to really deal with the frigates,
Course
especially with
engaged.
Cobras. If I had Falchions, I'd feel a little more comfortable. Yep, deck's gone, so you no longer can solid run. It's not an impressive damage, but at least I have a good chance of critically hitting something. Which may not mean much, but it does negate a Star Pulse generator until it recovers.
Your orders? Changing course.
So I'll let them grab the point. Actually, what I'm going to do is steal the point
Setting
behind them
course.
with this one frigate. I should not need very many frigates.
We serve. We wait your command.
And only have one with, okay, they do have 2
You have
ships.
seized a strategic area.
Lightning Arcs and Particle
We
Whips.
serve.
Unfortunately,
Engaging engines.
they got a good hit on critical components, so
Aye, Admiral.
keep burning Torpedoes
Enemy sighted.
and just force them not to recharge
Underway.
at all.
Ship ready. Orders acknowledged.
Alright, so time to get Torpedoes up. This is kind of what I was referring to. I thought I fired Torpedoes, dang you.
Aye, Admiral. Heading acknowledged. Damage taken.
Alright,
Heading acknowledged.
get these 2 turned around
We wait your command.
and kill this flagship
Changing
immediately.
course.
I have to wait for a cooldown because Fireman Meltus is throwing off my timing.
Your orders?
Now kill this battleship.
The enemy has seized a strategic
One more time.
Your orders?
Although I'm ramming myself and not their ship. That's unfortunate.
Lightning strike successful.
Disruption bomb's gonna come up in a moment. Let's get recovered. Engines down, so this is gonna take a lot of damage, but I'm also gonna take a lot of morale in a moment. Can I hit this before the troops do? That answers my question there.
We wait your command.
And I do have armor piercing, I just need good torpedo arcs now. But I'm just waiting for...
Setting course.
What am I trying to wait for here?
The enemy has accumulated
My ships actually
25%
cross each other's gap
strategic
here.
points.
Because sadly you can't do much.
All ahead, full.
The battleship is in the way, so I can't get the torpedo hits I want. I'm saying. I'm saying that like I know that for a fact, but I think we're clear now.
Burn retros. Underway. Impossible, Admiral.
And your deck's gone, is it? Yep, so you're completely out of the fight.
Await your command.
And so is their light cruiser here.
Ship ready.
And these two ships are
Coordinates
just
acknowledged.
passing into night. I have torpedoes, so I can hurt this a bit.
Setting
It's going to be
course.
slow with their health regeneration, though.
Execute high energy.
I really want to ram that, but it's a terrible idea, isn't it?
Aye, Admiral.
It's not going to amount to very much.
Engaging engines.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot of the reason why I need to spread out more. It minimizes the damage, and
Your orders.
when my ships all collapse together because they're all trying to ram the same ship, then it's really hard to dislodge them or get them to spread out, especially if their engines start to
You have
die,
accumulated
like what happened there.
50% of strategic points.
Setting course.
Well.
Coordinates acknowledged.
No, it did a lot of damage there. Because most of my ships are pretty limping right now.
Ship ready.
When you are reliant on doing AoE damage, without a doubt, if you're not... It's either going to go spectacularly because all the ships potentially are going to die at roughly the same time, or it ends abysmally, where most of my ships can still fight, but are in a position where they could still die quickly. They just need to get out of the pre-made fleet, and I don't know what style they would prefer, either going with the 3 battle cruisers with the arc propagator, or maybe just take advantage of the double tomb ships or something else like that, maybe. I'm not sure. The light cruisers sadly do not contribute a lot if you're relying on, because really the star pulse generators don't really do a whole lot of damage. They're not meant for that, in all honesty. I'm just trying to find, will it even say? So 250 damage before the 50% increase, and keep in mind this is mitigated by armor. So if I'm convenient enough to have my prow against them, that's only what? Just around I want to say 50 damage, but that's not really true. It's more like 45 or something like that, 42 roughly. If I'm trying to think of like whatever a fraction of this is, which would be like a 6 of the damage.